Q50 just got shot in St. Louis, and the reaction from Lil Jeff's killer has the streets buzzing.
STL? Like, honestly, is any of them people, like, really, like, y'all affiliates?
Respect. You gotta respect them. Just like they got respect for us.
Word is, the shooting ties back to the $60K he took from some St. Louis dudes, but many believe it was really a show of respect for Trap City. I've got all the details. Let's break it down. How Q50 got caught slipping in the loot. The streets was absolutely buzzing on August 17, 2025, when word hit the block that Bloodhound Q50, one of Chicago's most feared steppers in the drill scene, got his truck lit up something serious in St. Louis, Missouri. What started as a regular bag-chasing mission for this young savage quickly turned into some real-life movie-type drama that had the whole drill community shook to the core. No cap. Now listen up, fam, because to really understand why this whole situation got the streets this heated, we gotta break down exactly who Q50 really is and why his survival had the ops sick to their stomach. Bloodhound Q50 is a 20-year-old young bull from the Chi who been putting in serious work with the Bloodhound set. But peep this though, homie ain't just your average block hugger turned rapper. The streets got him labeled as one of the most active demons to come out the rock in recent memory, with all types of bodies allegedly tied to his name. The whole setup started off real smooth like, just another day in the life of a young getting to the bag. Q50 was posted up in St. Louis, handling what should have been routine business, a performance booking that any artist his caliber would normally knock out with no issues. Bro was even flexing on the gram, showing off that bust-down Rolex with them Arabic numerals, letting everybody know he was in enemy territory getting his money up. The footage from his show was looking real proper too. Packed venue, crowd going crazy, Q50 commanding that stage like the star he was becoming. But what this young bull didn't know was that his whole trip to the loo was really just an elaborate mousetrap, and he was about to be the cheese. According to all the chatter on social media and them Reddit detectives, Q50 had previously finessed some St. Louis cats out of a cool $60,000. Now this wasn't no simple lick. This was some bold, disrespectful type stealing that Q50 had actually been bragging about in his raps and interviews, calling St. Louis sweet, and basically saying them boys was too to do anything about it.
Q50 was allegedly hopping on a song very recently rapping about running off with $60,000 from St. Louis. This is a snippet that was going around. Q50 posted it and he's saying them dudes in St. Louis still mad I took their 60K. Before you mess with me, F with Bloody Brothers 76. Let's talk about paper, broke ops. Next funeral, I'ma pay for it.
The plot these St. Louis cooked up was some real Machiavellian type, straight out the hood playbook. Word on the street is that the same cats Q50 had robbed actually booked him for the show, setting up the perfect opportunity to get they lick back. The plan was cold as hell in its simplicity. Dangle that easy bag in front of Q50, get him comfortable, then serve him that hot when he least expected it, as Q50 and his crew pulled off from the venue in that black whip, probably counting their bread and feeling like they just pulled off another successful finesse. They had no idea they was driving straight into the jaws of death. The ambush was some military-grade type violence. Over 60 shots from automatic weapons, including what witnesses said looked like Draco fire, with them 7.62 rounds, absolutely demolishing their vehicle. The sheer amount of gunfire was so intense it flattened all 4 tires and left that truck looking like Swiss cheese. 4 people got hit and was fighting for their lives in critical condition, and in them first chaotic hours, the internet was going absolutely wild with rumors that Q50 had finally met his maker. The visuals that came out the scene was some real war zone type imagery. That black truck sitting outside the emergency room looking like it got hit by a missile strike, telling the whole story of a desperate race against the Reaper.
But he said they parked his whip outside the emergency room, man. It was looking very, very serious. Yeah, according to these reports, it's going around absolutely everywhere. 4 people apparently are injured in critical condition. A lot of people are saying Q50 was hit.
The mathematics behind this get back wasn't lost on nobody in the streets. Allegedly, crime scene had exactly 60 shell casings scattered around. 1 bullet for every $1,000 stolen, sending a crystal clear message about the consequences of playing with other people's paper. This wasn't just some random drill gone wrong. This was calculated street justice served hot and ready. What makes this whole situation even crazier is finding out who was behind the trigger. CTS Lou Wick, this white boy from St. Louis who really bout that action and got a confirmed body under his belt already, got named as one of the main shooters. Now Wick ain't no regular suburban rapper. This cat really been through the system, beat a murder case on self-defense, and been featured in all types of street documentaries about the Lou's gangster scene.
My guy CTS Lil Wick over here on the left, he got a confirmed body. He beat a body on self-defense, okay?
That whole afternoon, Reddit was absolutely losing their minds, especially Cheericology, with over a dozen threads popping off about the incident within hours. The reactions was all over the place. Some users was sending prayers and get well wishes, while others was basically saying, "I told you so" about Q50's reckless lifestyle, calling it inevitable that somebody this wild would eventually get caught slipping. In a move that had both his day ones and his ops completely bamboozled, Q50 appeared on social media looking relatively unharmed, despite all them earlier reports about him being on his deathbed. His survival wasn't just unlikely, it was straight up miraculous, considering the amount of lead that got thrown at his whip. The drill community's response was instant and savage as usual. Memes started flooding every social platform with posts like POV, the St. Louis hit squad seeing Q50 go live on Instagram, clowning the shooters for failing their mission. That dark humor that stays constant in drill culture was on full display as fans tried to process this seemingly impossible survival story. St. Louis cats wasn't finding none of this funny though, with comments flooding the socials emphasizing their city's dangerous reputation. St. Louis treacherous bra, if a gets 60K took, ain't nobody gonna let that go. The message was crystal clear. Q50 might have survived this round, but that debt was still on the books. This whole incident represented way more than just another shooting in the drill world. It showed how Chicago's gang beefs was now spreading across state lines, creating what some observers was calling an interstate gang war. The fact that Q50 had the audacity to travel to another city, commit crimes, brag about it publicly, then have the balls to come back to that same city for a show demonstrated either incredible street credibility or dangerous stupidity. As word of Q50's survival spread through the trenches like wildfire, the focus started shifting from whether he had gotten smoked to how this would affect the already deadly web of rivalries that had been claiming lives left and right in Chicago's drill scene. The stage was set for reactions that would reveal just how deep the hatred ran between Q50's crew and their numerous enemies back home in the rack. The bloodiest beef in the rack's history explained. To really understand why Q50's survival had certain cats in Chicago heated beyond belief, we gotta dive deep into one of the most vicious and deadly beefs in drill history, the all-out war between Drill City, Bloodhound, and Trap City. This ain't just your typical neighborhood squabble over corners and This is a full-blown blood feud that done consumed whole families, destroyed decades-old friendships, and left more bodies than a horror movie. The beef between Drill City and Trap City came from what used to be one of the strongest alliances in the South Side under the 6779 or 06679 banner, where both crews considered each other blood family and had been riding together without any major drama for over 10 years. This brotherhood started falling apart in early 2023 over some petty bullshit, but the spark that turned simmering tensions into an all-out street war was the murder of one beloved hood legend, Z Money. Z Money, real name Zaire Nelson, was a respected Drill City Bloodhound soldier whose killing on March 16, 2023 became the catalyst that escalated everything into a full-scale war involving retaliatory hits, diss tracks, and internet warfare. The murder wasn't some random street it stemmed from some love triangle drama between Z Money and Leal, a Trap City member, but the consequences would shake the whole South Side. Z Money got hit with over 30 rounds while he was sitting in his whip on the 1300 block of East 79th Street in Avalon Park, and while there's some debate about who exactly pulled the trigger, the killing got pinned on Trap City cats. What made this murder especially devastating for the Bloodhound family was Z Money's blood connection to Lil Jeff. They was cousins on his mama's side, with deep family ties going back to childhood photos from the early 2010s.
Now, you had your cousin killed before, but it seems like you and Jeff were way closer.
Yeah, I could say that.
When you first heard the news of Jeff passing away, what did you think?
I didn't know how to really react. Like, I said that the first time, but like, this he more than a cousin. It's like my big brother.
Z Money's death absolutely destroyed Lil Jeff emotionally, and he showed his grief by getting tattoos honoring his fallen cousin, Z Money's name above his eye and Z on his trigger finger, while channeling all that pain into planning some serious get back. This wasn't just gang politics anymore. This shit had become deeply personal, family business that demanded blood for blood according to street law. The retaliation came swift and merciless. Lil Jeff and Q50 allegedly caught Leal slipping on June 25th, 2020 2023 in Little Italy near UIC. They smoked him while he was sitting in an Uber, making sure to mirror the circumstances of Z Money's death as a symbolic message. The location and method wasn't coincidental. This was calculated revenge served cold, showing that the Bloodhounds don't forget and definitely don't forgive. The very next day after Leal got smoked, Lil Jeff, Q50, and JB dropped a remix of Coffin, directly shouting out Z Money and celebrating the successful get back. This wasn't just music anymore. It was real-time documentation of an active war, with bodies dropping and rappers turning their trauma and rage into viral content for the world to see. But Q50's involvement in this deadly beef goes way deeper than just one revenge killing. Street sources and YouTube documentaries credit him with having up to 8 alleged bodies on his resume, though these numbers come from hood rumors, diss tracks, and online speculation rather than actual court convictions. Whether these numbers are facts or fiction, Q50's reputation as a dangerous young demon was solidified throughout Chicago's gangster culture. Q50's role in this ongoing war is complex as hell. He's an active participant in the violence, a diss artist using music to fuel the beef, and a prime target for retaliation. His lyrics constantly reference 762S, those 7.62 mm rounds, and specific ops from Trap City, essentially creating a musical scorecard tracking the ongoing conflict. The beef reached its peak when Lil Jeff got his wig split on June 8, 2024, around 5:14 p.m. on the 6600 block of S. Rhodes Avenue in Chicago's Woodlawn neighborhood, right in the heart of Trap City territory. The circumstances of his death was both ironic and tragic. He got killed while trying to execute what appeared to be a drill on his enemies in their own backyard. According to police reports and surveillance footage that leaked, Lil Jeff and his crew was on a drill mission, chasing a target to a house and trying to catch him during what looked like a drug deal involving some female. The hunter became the hunted when someone came out that house with the chopper, hitting Jeff multiple times, with estimates ranging from 12 to 19 gunshot wounds.
Leading up to that situation, did he feel like his life was in danger and, something might happen, or?
Hell no. You see, if you look, you see how he was living life in Cali, happy as hell. You know what I'm saying? We chilling like that. Like, hell nah. Nobody really, I don't know nobody that live life expecting something to happen, you know what I'm saying?
The identity of Jeff's killer became the biggest mystery in the aftermath. Details about the shooter stay murky, with no official arrests or charges directly connected to Lil Jeff's murder as of August 18, 2025. However, one individual, Trap City Rob, got arrested at the scene shortly after on some unrelated gun charges, but never got charged for the actual body. Later on, Q50 admitted in some footage that he was actually present during the incident, which also involved an attempted hit on Man Man, a Trap City member, and some innocent civilian. This confession placed Q50 at the scene of his cousin's death, adding another layer of survivor's guilt and trauma to an already f***ed up emotional situation.
I would keep this real, child. I ain't gonna have this, I go through that every single day. On my dead grandma, my granddaddy ashes, I go through that depression every single day.
The psychological damage on Q50 was obvious to anybody paying attention to. In his story, he publicly struggled with depression after Jeff's death, describing the loss as losing my best friend, my heart, my big brother, my everything. This loss wasn't just personal. It represented the end of a musical partnership that had been gaining serious momentum in the drill scene. Q50 originally had zero interest in pursuing rap seriously until Jeff got killed, when pressure from management and his desire to carry on his cousin's legacy forced him into the spotlight. This reluctant rise to fame meant Q50 was dealing with grief while simultaneously becoming a public figure, all while maintaining the dangerous street lifestyle that had already claimed his closest family. The beef kept claiming victims even after Jeff's death. Within a month of Jeff getting smoked, Lil Scoom 89 also got his ticket punched, adding another layer of trauma for Q50 and the Bloodhound crew. This rapid succession of losses created a psychological pressure cooker that influenced Q50's increasingly reckless behavior and decision-making. This background is absolutely crucial for understanding why Q50's survival of the St. Louis shooting generated such intense reactions from his Chicago enemies. For Trap City members and their allies, Q50 represented unfinished business. He was the last major player from the duo that had been terrorizing their lives and community. His continued survival wasn't just disappointing to them, it was straight up infuriating and disrespectful to their fallen soldiers. The hood's wild reactions. Right after the news of Q50 getting shot in STL hit the internet, a series of reactions began to unfold. However, the most anticipated reaction is from the Bloodhound's biggest ops, Trap City, the hood allegedly responsible for sending Lil Jeff back to his maker. Instead, what unfolded was some complex street politics that revealed the true nature of Chicago's hood mentality and the power of staying quiet when everybody else running their mouth. This absence of public celebration, or shit-talking was speaking volumes in itself. In a culture where enemies typically rush to social media to clown their rivals' misfortunes, the radio silence from Jeff's alleged killer was louder than any diss track. But just because Rob and his immediate circle stayed quiet didn't mean Q50's enemies was sitting on their hands doing nothing. Something way more damaging was happening behind the scenes. Q50's Chicago ops, including cats potentially aligned with Trap City, was actively identifying the St. Louis shooters online, essentially dry snitching by naming CTS Lou Wick and others in videos and posts. This digital snitching represented a new form of warfare, using the internet to potentially build federal cases against rivals while keeping plausible deniability.
This 9-5 Mob Dre, these are Q50's real ops, man. Basically admitting that CTS Lil Wick and them did this to Bloodhound Q50. Now, he done posted a bunch of CTS members, Valet Gang, Wanky G, Spaz, you know, it's the CTS Lil Wick, that's his IG. He's saying, I love y'all on 2 times grave. Y'all stood on everything you told me, blood. I got something for y'all.
The post from 95 Mob Dre was particularly sloppy because it not only named the alleged shooters, but also showed love and appreciation toward them. The post read, I love y'all, I'm 2 times grave, y'all stood on everything you told me, blood, I got something for y'all. Basically, giving the St. Louis shooters their flowers for attempting to smoke Q50. This type of public acknowledgement was exactly the kind of evidence that federal investigators dream about when building RICO cases. The reaction from the broader drill community to this digital dry snitching was immediate and brutal. Comments flooded social platforms calling out the behavior. People saying, ain't no way he just dry snitched like that. People saying, dude really gave the feds all the names that they might have missed for the RICO. The irony wasn't lost on street observers. The same culture that claims to despise snitching was actively engaging in it when it served their purposes. Meanwhile, the alleged shooters themselves wasn't staying humble about their failed mission. CTS Lou Wick posted about the incident with laughing emojis, writing, Bloodhound Q50 was shot this morning in STL, showing zero remorse for attempting to take a young man's life. This public taunting represented the kind of self-incriminating behavior that makes prosecutors' jobs easy when building attempted murder cases. But perhaps the most complex reaction came from the broader Chicago drill community, where Q50's survival was met with a mixture of relief, disappointment, and that dark humor that stays constant in hood culture. General comments from presumed ops in Archer Ecology celebrated the event as karma for Lil Jeff's associates, with threads documenting how Q50's Chicago enemies was, publicly identifying his attackers. The meme culture that surrounds drill music was in full effect, with posts like POV, the St. Louis hit squad seeing Q50 go live on Instagram, clowning the shooters for their failed mission, and St. Louis when Q50 went live by a pool, highlighting their shock at his survival. These memes served multiple purposes. They processed trauma through humor, while also subtly mocking all parties involved in the failed hit. Some hood philosophers noted the bigger picture implications of Q50's survival. Comments reflected on the inevitability of the attempt. That's tragic as hell and prayers to Q50, but if you've even listened to a song, verse, or lyric come out of his mouth, then you would know this was beyond inevitable. The criticism wasn't just about the shooting itself, but about Q50's lifestyle choices that had led him to this moment. The strategic silence from Trap City Rob spoke to a more sophisticated understanding of modern street politics and legal warfare. Rob got arrested in November 2024 for Lil Jeff's murder, but never got charged, making him the prime suspect in the case. As someone who had already been in law enforcement's crosshairs, any public celebration of Q50's shooting could potentially be used against him in future court proceedings.
Yeah,
They said some dude named Trap City Rob got charged for the death of
Nah, he didn't free him. I don't like seeing nobody in jail. Jail ain't for nobody. He ain't get charged though.
he didn't. All right, but is that even somebody you even know? Like,
Hell no.
This calculated silence from Rob contrasted sharply with the more emotional and less strategic responses from Q50's other enemies. The difference highlighted the varying levels of street intelligence within Chicago's gang culture. Some cats understood the long-term implications of their words and actions, while others was acting purely on emotion and immediate gratification. The aftermath also revealed the complex psychology of survival in drill culture. Q50's response to the shooting was to post photos with a caption, "Notorious like Big Papa, but I ain't going like Chris Wallace. The world know who the goblins they begging. FA me to stop it. The reason they don't ride with toddlers. No sympathy dump on mamas. You either in or you out it, and don't even question me about it." This defiant message showed that surviving the attempt hadn't humbled him one bit. If anything, it had made him feel more invincible and reckless. The broader implications of the incident extended way beyond just Chicago and St. Louis. The shooting highlighted the increasing dangers of away games, committing crimes outside one's home territory, with locals emphasizing that these interstate conflicts was becoming more common. What used to be localized neighborhood beefs was now spanning multiple states, creating new challenges for both law enforcement and the communities getting caught in the crossfire. As the dust settled on the immediate reactions to Q50's shooting, several things became crystal clear about the street's mentality. The silence from Lil Jeff's alleged killer wasn't indifference, it was pure strategy and street intelligence. The public celebrations and identifications from other enemies revealed their lack of such strategic thinking and legal awareness. And Q50's survival had only intensified the various conflicts he was already deep in, setting the stage for potentially even more violence and retaliation. The hood had spoken through their silence, their memes, their digital dry snitching, and their defiant social media posts. But the most telling reaction was what wasn't said. The careful quiet from those who understood that in a world where every tweet can become evidence and every Instagram post can be used in court, sometimes the most powerful response is no response at all. The war between these factions would continue brewing, but the rules of engagement had been subtly altered by the events in St. Louis and their aftermath, showing that even in the streets, sometimes the smartest cats know when to keep their mouth shut. Love this video? Click on the cards on your screen for more.